Welcome to ASEAN Wire. Today we're talking about Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim's canceled trip to Pahang. This news came out pretty suddenly, didn't it? A real unexpected halt in his schedule, makes you think.
It certainly does. The core fact is quite straightforward. The PM's working visit to Pahang, planned for today, is off.
Yeah, and when a top leader suddenly cancels a public visit like that, there's be a pretty serious reason. It's not done lightly.
Exactly. And the Prime Minister's office was quite clear about the reason. It's down to severe back pain.
Severe back pain.
Yes, not just a twinge. They mentioned it significantly impacted his mobility. Basically, he reached a point where the travel and, the demands of a state visit were just physically not possible.
Right.
And it's important to understand the official line here. This wasn't him just deciding to take a day off.
No, I gathered that.
The statement stressed it was purely on the advice of his medical team. They stepped in, recommended he needed proper rest. The doctors made the call, really health first.
Okay, so the doctors intervened. That makes sense. But it still has consequences, right? Especially locally. You have to think about the folks in Pahang. People were prepared. Communities were expecting him. This wasn't just a flyby visit, was it?
No, not at all. Reports suggested this visit was pretty significant. Things like funding announcements, maybe kicking off some key projects, stuff local leaders and people there have likely been waiting on for a while.
And organizing these visits takes weeks,
Yeah.
right? Security, local teams getting ready, leaders preparing their points.
Oh, absolutely. It's a huge logistical effort.
So a last-minute cancellation like this, it's more than just an inconvenience. It creates real disappointment, maybe even some local political awkwardness.
Yeah.
Especially if expectations were high for some federal attention.
Precisely. And the Prime Minister's office seemed to understand that. The apology that came out was very direct, apologizing specifically to the people of Pahang for the disruption, acknowledging the preparations they'd made. It shows, a recognition that this kind of thing strains that federal-state connection, even temporarily.
That apology kind of highlights the core issue here, doesn't it? This constant pull between, immense public duty, national and international, and just basic human health. These leaders, they operate under incredible pressure, relentless schedules, constantly on the move. So thinking about you listening, it makes you ask, how do leaders actually balance that? Can they even maintain their well-being when the job is just so demanding? Because if you look at why this might have happened now, the context is pretty revealing. It points towards maybe a bigger issue.
It really does. You can't look at this in isolation. We need to remember the bigger picture for Malaysia this year.
You mean chairing the Association of Southeast Asian Nations?
Exactly. That position, chairing ASEAN, it puts Malaysia right at the center of regional diplomacy and economics. It's a massive time commitment. And it means the Prime Minister is constantly traveling, constantly engaged in high-level international meetings. It's not something you can easily just, delegate.
Right. The visibility is huge.
Huge. It automatically ramps up the pressure on his schedule way beyond a normal year, if there even is such a thing.
Okay, so let's trace that schedule just before this happened.
Yeah.
Because looking at the timeline really helps understand why the doctors might have stepped in. It sounds exhausting.
It was incredibly packed.
So just before this cancellation, he finished the 3-day 47th Association of Southeast Asian Nations Summit.
Right. 3 full days. Think complex negotiations, endless meetings, diplomacy.
Mentally draining, I imagine. Late nights, early starts.
Definitely. Summit diplomacy is notorious for that. Very little downtime.
Okay, so summit ends. Does he get a break? No. He flies straight back.
Yeah.
Right, and attends the parliament session, the lower house.
Immediately. Straight from international talks back into the thick of domestic politics in Kuala Lumpur. Different pressures, different focus, but still intense.
Still no rest.
Apparently not. Because right after Parliament, he was off again, this time to Gyeongju, South Korea.
For the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation meeting?
The APEC Economic Leaders Meeting, yes. Another major international forum focused on economics this time. More high-level discussions, more demands on his time and energy.
Wow. So ASEAN Summit, Parliament, APEC meeting, all back-to-back.
Pretty much. Think about the sheer logistics. Different time zones, flights, constant shifting between diplomatic formality, parliamentary debate, economic strategy.
He's crossing continents, switching mental gears constantly, all within, 10 days or so?
Roughly, yes. And the final piece?
He only got back to Malaysia yesterday, the day before the planned Pahang trip.
That's right. So you see that sequence. Asian, Parliament, APEC, travel back, and then immediately supposed to head out for a domestic working visit.
Yeah, okay, when you lay it out like that.
It paints a very clear picture, doesn't it? The human body, especially the back, which takes a lot of strain from travel and sitting. It protests eventually under that kind of load. The medical intervention seems almost inevitable looking at that timeline.
So the back pain wasn't just random. It was a direct result of this incredibly demanding schedule, amplified by Malaysia's role-chairing ASEAN.
I think that's a fair assessment. The international responsibilities created almost zero buffer, zero recovery time. And this cancellation shows that even a prime minister hits physical limits. Biology doesn't care about diplomatic calendars.
But hang on, is this really that unusual? I mean, leaders always have tough schedules, lots of travel. Is severe back pain really a sign that the whole system of scheduling is broken? Or is it just, part of the job hazard at that level? Why is this incident sparking talk of a structural problem?
That's a fair challenge. I think the difference here is maybe the intensity and the sustained nature of the pressure, especially because of the ASEAN chairmanship. Being chair puts you under a constant global spotlight for the entire year. The demands are relentless and often non-negotiable. So it forces you to ask, is the support structure around the leader adequate for this level of demand? If the prime minister's physical health becomes the breaking point, you could argue there's an administrative issue too. Maybe about delegation, maybe about building in mandatory recovery even during peak periods. This incident could be a signal that the current setup, the staffing, the scheduling protocols in the prime minister's office maybe hasn't fully adapted to the sheer weight of chairing something like ASEAN on top of everything else.
Right. So summing this up for everyone listening, the main takeaway isn't just the PM is tired.
Yeah.
It's more like a national leader juggling these huge international roles like ASEAN chair hit a physical wall.
Yeah.
And that wall forced a medical intervention, which then caused a significant disruption that canceled Pahang visit and required a public apology to manage the fallout. It really underscores the physical toll when diplomatic duties exceed, perhaps, sustainable human limits.
And looking forward, that's the critical point. Malaysia's role in bodies like ASEAN and APEC isn't likely to shrink. If anything, the demands might grow.
So this could happen again.
Well, it raises the question, doesn't it? It sets a potentially difficult precedent if the underlying issues aren't looked at, which leads to a bigger thought for us all, particularly maybe for those involved in government administration. What needs to change? Do we need different support mechanisms, more robust staffing, mandatory rules about downtime built into these international schedules? How do you build resilience into the system that supports the leader, acknowledging that they are, after all, human? How do you ensure continuity and effectiveness without risking burnout or, well, a more serious health crisis down the line? That feels like a question that needs some serious thought now.
That's a really crucial point to end on. Balancing global ambition with the simple reality of human endurance. Seems like some structural thinking might be needed. Remember to like and subscribe for more videos like this.